My name's John Swainson, and I'm with Rockwood Kitchens. So before your Rockwood kitchen arrives, you need to make sure that your room is ready. That includes the measurements, your wall measurements that you've given Rockwood has to be exact, right down to the 16th of an inch. And have a look at where your receptacles are, stove plug, wires for under cabinet lighting. Make sure that they're all in the right place before your cabinets arrive. Take a look at your ceiling. If bulkheads have to come out or be removed, have a look at what's under there. In this case, we have a heating vent, but this heating vent is above the cabinets, so we're okay there. And in the end, it will get hidden in because we're doing crown to the ceiling. And be prepared that your corners will not be square. Your floor will probably not be level. And your walls undoubtedly will not be plumb. So if you go into it with that attitude, everything will work out great. When you do your measurements, do it twice, read your tape measure accurately, and this way there will not be any issues when the cabinets arrive. We want the cabinets to fit first time, and it's up to you to make sure that your measurements are totally accurate. The first thing I've done here is I've put up our plans. Tape them up, tape each one on the wall according to the elevation drawing. Do that on all your walls. Then you never lose the plans. You always know exactly where they are. Easy to find and easy to look at for reference. The next thing we'll do is we're going to go around the room and put tick marks on the wall at 34.5 inches high. We're going to do that every few feet. And the number 34.5, that's how tall the lower cabinets are. And once we do this, then we're going to find the high mark. We need to find out which mark is at the highest as far as level goes, because all the cabinets will end up coming up to this line. I'm a cabinet maker by trade. I've had my own cabinet shops for the last 30 years. I've been installing kitchens for Rockwood for the last 5 years. So we found our highest tick mark, which is the one at the right end. So we're going to take our level and draw a line that just matches our laser line. But before we do that, we just want to have a look at the floor itself. So we've determined here that the floor drops. You can see the floor drops a little bit because we have space underneath the level. This is how much we will have to shim up the bottoms of the cabinets to make them perfectly level across the top. Using the level on the wall also lets you know if there's any bumps in the wall that you need to look out for later on. Now we're going to do our level line for the uppers. We go from the high point, which is this point here, and we put a mark at 54. We only have to use one mark for the uppers. We don't have to go around the whole room because we already know that this is the high point. My most used tool, pencil sharpener. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to find the studs. A little mark on each side. This is a stud finder, and it shows exactly where the stud is. It lights up, it senses density. You can find these at any of the big box stores and most hardware stores. So now that we have our level lines, we have the level line for the lowers, we have a level line for the uppers, we found where our studs are. Now we can start getting ready to hang cabinets on the wall. I love these cabinets. These cabinets are solid wood doors and face frames and plywood cases with solid backs. These cabinets are a dream to install. We're going to start in the corner and work our way out. It's a good idea to take your framing square, put it into corner, because the corners are never square. Also check the walls for plumb. Just have a look, see what they're doing. Not bad actually. You have to shim the cabinet at the bottom a little bit just to keep it nice and plumb. This corner cupboard is one of the most important cupboards because everything goes out from it, and so that means everything has to be plumb and square. We have the drywall cut out so that our under cabinet lighting wires come out just below the cabinet. Now we're going to measure where the studs are so that we can pre-drill the holes in the back of the cabinet so we know exactly where the screws go through to get the studs. So we're going to measure across here 12 inches and we're going to pre-drill through there. Keep them all around 3 inches down. Little bit of an angle down so that when you get in there you're screwing up and not fighting with the top of the cabinet. Same thing down here, 12 inches, about 3. We pre-drill so that we don't have to try and find the stud while we're holding the cabinet on the wall. I'm going to put the screws in already. Now when we lift the cabinet up, the screws are already there, they're right where the studs are, everything's good. Because of the corner that's out of square, we have to put some shims behind it to hold the cabinet where it is, so that when we put the screw in, it doesn't pull it around. Put this up under here. Looking good. I pre-drilled in the face frame up here. I pre-drilled these holes here because we're going to join the face frames together. We join the face frames first and then we screw it to the wall. I know where my stud is. I pre-drilled the hole in the back of the cabinet and I checked on the plan to make sure that we're hinged on the proper side. This helps hold it in place. As soon as we get one screw in it, then it's good. perfect, we can live with. And now we know the distance from here to here. We can go over to this side and do the same distance. And that's where this cupboard starts. Okay, in the corner base, we're getting ready to put in the cabinet, and we want to pre-shim ahead of time, because once the cabinet's in, we can't get back there to put the shims in. We get shims that are that will bring us to 34.5, which is what we have to end up at. And I have my little box of shims that has all the different thicknesses in there. Now the corner cabinet, of course, doesn't go right to the back. So we've measured out 36 inches out to the front because we need shims there. And then we come back 18 inches and put shims here. This particular corner cupboard has a 3-inch recess, so we need to bring these out 3 inches out from the wall. We're going to get all the cabinets together, join them at the face frames, make sure they're all lined up nice and straight in case there's bows in the wall, and then we'll attach them to the wall after it's all done. We want it to go right to the wall and then drop down. Like that. See, we're right on our line here. Right on our line here. That's just what we want. And we'll finish off by shimming up the front of the cabinet. See, we're right on our line there. Okay, we're gonna screw these cabinets together. We already have one screw up here, so I'm gonna put one more here and one more here. We haven't screwed anything on the back yet. We always screw the face frames first, then we straighten everything up, and then we screw the backs to the wall. Sometimes we have to shim in the back to account for the curves in the wall. So we always do the face frames first. We're going to leave a 24 space of nothing. Okay, so to summarize, we've started in the upper corner, and then we've come to the right. We have the cabinet on the right, and then we've measured the distance from the cabinet to the window, and then we replicate that on the right side of the window. So we have equal space on each side, so it looks very symmetrical. And then the last cabinet went up on the right-hand side. And then in the bottom cabinets, we also start from the corner, work our way out. So we put the corner cabinet in, and then we work our way along. We've cut holes for our sink plumbing. We have that. We've left space for the dishwasher. We have 24 inches of space for the dishwasher. Doesn't hurt to go just a little more. 24 1/8 is always good. And then we put the last cabinet. So that takes care of this whole wall of cabinets. And things have fit very well because we've done our preliminary measurements. We're all very accurate, and everything goes in without any problem at all. So this is our stove area, and over top we will have a hood vent. And as you can see, we've had it cut out for the vent that exhausts out through the ceiling. And if your layout calls for the cabinet to be bumped out 3 inches, don't forget to put your spacers on each side of the cabinet to keep the distance equal. So after we bumped out our hood cabinet, now we put up our last upper up here to the left of the hood, and then we put in our base cabinet down here. We left a little over 30 inches for the stove. The granite guys like you to leave a little more than 30 inches. And then we put our spacer down here so that allows the drawers to go nice and clear. And upbuilding the spacer up here to take up the gap. And now we're ready to put up our fridge gables and the cabinet over top of the fridge. Now all we have to do is straighten things up and screw into the face frames. And as always, we've predetermined where the studs are, pre-drilled, and put our screws in all ready to be driven into the studs once we get things all leveled up and true. Putting up our riser, and the riser fills in the space between the top of the cabinets and the ceiling so that the crown molding will go on there. So we've drilled the holes already. We have the holes drilled up here, and then we're going to put our riser on. We've got the miters on, and we'll put it up there. Crown molding is not big enough to cover the space between the ceiling and the cabinets. You know, it comes up a little short. And so we need to add on to the top of the cabinets so that when you put the crown molding on, it can go right to the ceiling and fill all the gaps in. And I've already put a piece up here. That's so that we have something to fasten this piece onto. It's always easier to put miters together on the ground, and so I like to put as many together as I can and then put the whole thing up. Just makes it easier. A little glue. So we pre-drilled our holes with a countersink and a drill, and we've used a drill big enough so that the screw will not thread into it, because we don't want the screw to thread into the first part. We want it to pass through the first part and then grab onto the second part and pull it down nice and tight. I put a piece of tape and a mark there so that I know where my backing piece is. So there we go. And there we go. And then the DAP, we'll just run a bead of DAP around here and that'll close up all the gaps. In this kitchen, we're doing what they call crown to the ceiling. And so the crown will end up right up tight to the ceiling. Now we've gone around the whole kitchen with our riser, and now we're ready to do all our measurements and cut crown so that we can put the crown up all around the kitchen. That's our next step. So we're ready to start putting up crown molding. I like to pre-assemble as much as I can before it goes up, especially on the inside corners. And you can see the purpose of the riser is to fill in the space between the crown and the cabinet. So it gives it a nice look right to the ceiling. Now that we have our riser and our crown molding installed, we're ready for the light rail. The light rail goes under the cabinets, giving more room to put under cabinet lighting. So I've pre-measured and I've joined it at the miters. Put it up here, get our spacing right. Put a clamp under to hold it up. Pre-drill for the holes underneath here. We just need one at the back, and then we'll put two across the front, and that'll hold it nice and tight. So for a really professional look, we're going to run a bead of caulking along here. We're going to use DAP. That will also keep the light from the under cabinet lighting showing through the crack. Run your finger across it. And we'll clean that up with a damp rag. And we've also used the DAP all around the crown molding, especially in a white kitchen. It's very important because all the little gaps really show up. So the DAP will just blend it right into the ceiling and it'll look very good. So try and run all your DAP in before the doors go on. Once the door's on, it's almost impossible to get the caulking gun in there and run it at speed. And now we're ready for the door. So I just fit it right into the hinges, and now we'll gently open it up. So the doors are all pre-drilled, so the hinges just fit right in there. And now we'll put screws in it. Don't over tighten the screws. Just snug it. And the last one. So now the cabinet's ready. So the last thing we need to do is put on the handles. I've got a nice drilling jig here that I've got set up, and we drill the holes through. If you don't have a drilling jig, then you just measure and mark where the holes go. You might want to put a piece of tape on it and then mark on that, and then put the screws in. Just snug, don't over tighten them. And there we are. Nice slow close. Okay, so to recap our order of operation, the first thing we did was get our measurements at 34.5 and then drew our level line because we found the highest point. And then we went up to 54 inches and did the same thing there, drew a level line around the whole kitchen. And then we found out where our studs were, took measurements, marked them on the back of the cabinet, and then we started with the corner. We started with the corner and worked our way out. Went to the window, measured on the other side, put the cabinet up there so it's nice and equal. And then we started with our lowers. Same thing, start in the corner, worked our way out. Have a space for the dishwasher down there, space for the stove. And then we put up our fridge surround, did our gables, both sides, put up the cabinet. Once all the cabinets are installed, then we did our riser above the cabinets, and then we put on the crown molding. And we went around and dapped all the seams around all the crown molding to make it look really nice. So once the crown molding is up and we've dapped all the seams, and we come down below the cabinets and put in our light rail. Our light rail gives lots of room for them to put in the under cabinet lighting, put on the doors, and drill for the handles. And we're done.